Everyone, and welcome to the SMS. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're enjoying this extra hour of sunlight. It was a little hard to wake up, but now we have more light, so that's cool. Today we're talking about a really amazing project. I'm really excited to talk about this because I've been watching it for a while now. And yeah, I'm really excited to show it to you all, and maybe you'll be interested in getting involved as well. So today we are talking with a member of the Project WeCARE Kids Facebook group. And yeah, we're just going to be covering this amazing organization. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So let's
Great.
first start with. So I know that you asked for this interview to be anonymous. I was wondering if you could first start just explaining the rationale for that.
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons behind that. So the group is really about the community. It's not just the Facebook community, but the community, the larger Montreal, greater Montreal community, and the unhoused people in that community. And so we feel that if we focus on one specific individual in that community, or we sort of designate one individual, it brings the focus away from that community feel we really want to maintain. And then we also want to be careful about glorifying acts of kindness. You know, we walk a fine line when we hand out care kits, we share stories on the group page. We want to make sure that people feel safe and they don't feel sort of pressured to do something because it looks a certain way. And so, if we're really focusing on what we're doing and we're focusing on the project itself, it doesn't focus on, okay, I'm doing this to get recognition or to get fame. So that's really the
Mm-hmm.
two main reasons for anonymity.
That's great. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the project basically revolves around the creation of kits that help people in the community. I was wondering, like, what inspired you to start this initiative?
Well, we've seen a lot of people that sort of turn away from those in need. Then there's different reasons for that. Sometimes people aren't really sure how to respond, how to approach them. They might feel uncomfortable. There's also a lot of stigma around homeless people and a lot of maybe beliefs around why they end up on the streets, which aren't always true or accurate. But that's sort of the perception around homelessness. And then, especially during the pandemic, people have limited empathic resources. People focus on the needs of their family and themselves. And at the end of the day, they might not want to approach somebody in need because they're just feeling like, well, how do I do this? It demands too much from me. And so, in that sense, they turn away from the people who might need the most help at this difficult time. So, we started this project to hope that in the hopes that we could change that dynamic, that we could change the way that people are starting conversations, the way that they're interacting with the people who are on the streets. And we use kits as a way to do that. So kits are really a way to start the conversation. They give they kind of reduce that barrier, like you're not sure how to go up to somebody in need. You might just give them money and then walk away. Kits are a nice way to do that because you can say, oh, okay, so in this kit, there's some granola bars, there's some socks, there's a bottle of water, and describe the different items in there and see if that person wants any of those items. So it already starts a conversation, it already removes one of those barriers. And at the same time, it's something that's easy to carry around. So I don't know about you, but I don't really have change that much in my pockets these days. I
Mm-hmm.
usually carry credit cards. So for me now, I just, every time I leave the house, I take one or two care kits. I just toss them in my purse. It's really simple, easy. I can put that in it can fits me nicely also in a glove compartment if you drive. And it's just something that's easy to give as well. And it's something where sometimes I've been short on time. For instance, I remember one of the first encounters before we developed this project, I met someone who was on the street and he asked me to get him a burger. And I really wanted to do that, but I had an appointment. And the burger joint was about 15 minutes away, so I knew I wouldn't make it back on time. I asked him if he would mind if I, come back after my appointment. I'd be back in about half an hour, but by the time I came back, he wasn't there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought to myself, okay, well, if I just had something on me that I could give him and we could have talked and chatted around that, maybe it would have been better. And then I could have also given him a burger
Mm-hmm.
at a later point in time. So it would have allowed me to do both.
That's great. Like I feel like there's no clear instruction kit on like how to deal with homeless. I think,
Mhm.
we all see the situation, we see the crisis happening, but we don't really have the tools to really
Yeah.
address it. And I find WeCare is really helpful for that. It seems to just naturally bring people together to help, and
Mhm.
it's really inspiring. I wanted to just share a few screenshots from the page. So there's one. It's like, oh, my daughter and I prepared 40 kids today.
Mm.
We're in Point Claire. This happened today. And she asked like, oh, like how do I distribute it? Like she was so excited about creating these kits.
Mhm.
And there were people in the group that were able to help in the distribution of those kits. So that's really cool. Another one, there's someone in the group who came in and said that they needed a kit. They said that they needed help. So, and then someone else was like, "Oh yeah, I'll contact you. I'll bring you a kit." So what I find really cool is that, like, you don't even need to be the one helping. Like if you need help, it's such a supportive atmosphere, and you can go in and you can ask for help in the group as well. And yeah, just like like people are just participating. They're like, oh, like, do you guys need STM tickets? Like, I have some, I can share some. Like, it's really great how you created like, well, your group created like this community to just come together and help. So I'm wondering, like, how is it working out so far? Like, how do you find it?
It's really great. And I think you just pointed out a really strong point of the group is that people just offer to get involved in the ways that they feel comfortable. So we respect that not everyone is comfortable necessarily going and distributing kits on the streets. There's the pandemic to think about. So people need to be more safe and take certain precautions. So some people feel comfortable more having more sort of behind the scenes roles, donating, getting involved, working on different projects within the group and not necessarily handing out kits on the street. And others want that experience of handing out kits on the street. So we try to emphasize everyone's individual strengths and their individual preferences and also respect that. And then when it comes to people in need, unfortunately, so I do have to specify that our group, those who reach out to us for kits, we can sort of give them a one-time complimentary kit, but our kits are really more as conversation starters for people who are in the streets, for people
Hmm.
who are currently housed. The kits may not have everything they need. And I feel like that's maybe one of the ways that we would like to expand in the future. So we'll give them a one time kit, we'll provide them with resources, but we don't have the uh, growth of the group yet. We're not at that size yet to be able to do that. But like I said, it's going far better than we ever imagined. For our members, I think it's a nice opportunity. There's members that are involving their children in the initiative. So we're maybe changing the dynamic for generations to come. And then we also have some really interesting collaborations with groups. For instance, the West Montreal Readaptation Group,
Hmm.
where it's people with developmental delays and autism who assemble our kits for us. And so they do that as part of their vocational training, which is really neat because it gives them the opportunity also to give back to the community and get involved. And it's also helping them. So it seems to be good for our members. And then for the homeless community, they really seem to appreciate the kits. But even more than just the kits and what the kits are providing, like the essential items, they really seem to appreciate the conversations that we're having with them. Just stopping and taking some time to chat with them, to get to know them, to understand what their needs are, and even what we can do better. We started this group, and I don't think any of us were experts in terms of what do the homeless need, how can we help, and we figured it out as we went along, but we're still figuring it out. So we still need to be actively listening to what are their concerns, what do they need from us, and that's going to change. What they needed during the winter is not what they're going to need from us in the summer. Maybe they have access to other resources that we don't know about. So let's continue having these conversations and finding out what they need most.
Mm, mm. That's Yeah, that's great. So as WeCare continues to grow and evolve, what are the things that you currently might need help with?
Well, really, like the biggest thing for us to continue growing is funding. So funding allows us to buy essential items for the kids or donating items. So that's definitely ways that members have been involved so far. And donating now, as we're continuing to grow and go into the spring, it's donating items for spring, like things like sunscreen or
Hmm.
socks that are maybe not like warm woolly socks like we had for the winter. And then the biggest thing is getting the word out. So the more people that are involved, the more people we can reach, the more we can really change the dynamic and change the interactions that society is having with people who are unhoused. That
Hmm.
would be the biggest thing.
Mm. So if people want to get involved, how would they do it?
There's so many ways, but to name a few, aside from donating funds and items, people can get involved in picking up different items. So there'll be people who donate, but they don't have a way to, for instance, get the donations to us. So collecting items, driving items around. There's also a couple of individuals who have started collections in their own organizations or in their schools. They'll start like a sock drive or a food drive, and then those items are donated back and included into the care kits. And then handing out care kits. So being on the streets, starting those genuine conversations with people in need, getting to know them, understanding them, and being actively being involved in changing those dynamics. Those are the sort of biggest roles and most important roles that we have so far. But we're also really open to new ideas. So we've been approached for different collaborations. So, for instance, like I mentioned about the West Montreal Readaptation Center,
Hmm.
they approached us to offer the collaboration with their group, and so that's been great. We've been at John Abbott and Vanier to collaborate with them, but we've been approached also by school groups who've wanted to collaborate with us. So anything, we're really open to every suggestion going, and we are ready to brainstorm any ways that we can grow the initiative further and help more people.
Hmm. That's amazing. Okay, so if a group wants to collaborate with you, what should they do?
They can post it directly on our Facebook page or contact one of the admins or moderators on the page. And then we'll just meet with them, start a discussion with them, see what they'd like to contribute, how they'd like to get involved, and what works best for them, and then arrange something that works for everyone.
Mm. Okay, perfect. And yeah, so this project is going so well. It's really making like a really positive impact on the community. So now I'm wondering like what do you think is the future of Project We Care Kids?
It's really hard to predict exactly where we're heading because when we started this back at the end of November, so not very long ago, we had no idea that it would grow in such a way, so exponentially as it has. So it's hard to predict, but right now, what we are working on is we're developing a website and we're trying to branch out to different social media platforms. We're also registering as a charity. So we recently registered as a nonprofit organization,
Hmm.
and we'll be registering as a charity in order to provide tax receipts and to also provide more transparency for our members. We're trying to be as transparent as possible, but that'll guarantee it. And so working on that. And then we're also working on different collaborations. So right now we're setting up a collaboration with a group of psychology students in a university, and we're working on setting up formal training for them to ways of, for instance, talking to the homeless, providing validation, active listening, crisis management in case any difficult situations come up, and then also how to regulate their own emotions, because there are difficult emotions that our community members will feel when talking to people who are on the street. There's a lot of suffering, a lot of difficult situations that they might encounter, and that can trigger emotional responses in us too. So we're trying to develop training for them to do this. And then once they're trained, to hand out kits, they can also be paired with members of our group and start training members of our group and going out together, sort of as a little bit of a buddy system that seems to help, at least from our experiences, help our members feel more secure in going out for the first time. And a lot of the people who are handing out kits are going out for the first time. So those are just some of the ways that we're growing. But like I said, we're always open to new collaborations and new ideas and ways to grow in different ways and maybe even expand in the future to other cities. Who knows?
Mm. I love that. Honestly, like I'm so happy for you all. Seems to be going great. For everyone watching, if you want to get involved, I put a link to the group in the description of this video so you can click it. And yeah, like thank you so much for joining me. Did you have any other comments that you wanted to make?
I guess the one thing I really want to emphasize before I let you go is that it's about the conversation. So the essential items that we're providing in the kits are really great, but the feedback that we've gotten from those that we've spoken to is that they're surprised that we're stopping to talk to them, that we're taking the time, firstly, to assemble a kit, not just handing out money, which is good also, but I know some people might be reluctant to do that. So the fact that we're taking the time to hand out the kit, to talk to them, to get to know them seems to be really, really, really appreciated. So I would encourage anyone who's listening, even if you don't want to be involved necessarily in the project, to just take the time to maybe reflect on your own stigmas, and take the time to give back to others if you can, and see what they need as well. It's
Hmm.
not always easy during the pandemic to put other people's needs first, but it really feels great at the end of the day that knowing that you've been able to make a difference, even if it's just in one person's life.
I completely agree. Great. So thank you so much for coming. And yeah, I wish you and your group a lot and a lot of success.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having us on the show.
All right, no problem. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
And to everyone watching, thank you for coming in. I really encourage you to check out this group. I put a link in the description, and yeah, like check it out. You don't actually need to do anything if you want to just see. Go check it out, and hey, maybe you'll be part of this positive impact in our community. All right, have a great day, everyone. See you soon. Bye.